Hi, welcome to irinkaskitchen.com. This is my very first video, and I'd like to talk to you about my vegetable pea soup that I have on my website. And you can find it on the website, and you can also find it on the app phones. You can download to the app phones for my recipe. My recipe comes from my grandmother, she lived in Hungary, and I used to go and visit her during the summers when I was in my 20s, and I used to spend about six weeks there, and I would watch her cook in her very small kitchen, because in Europe the kitchens are quite small, and so I saw that she could make use of her space very well. So I learned to do that, because then when I came back to Canada, I lived in an apartment for about 23 years, so I was able to make use of small counter space. Of course, since then I've gotten married, and I've got a big kitchen to work in right now, but I'd like to share some of my recipes with you. And the first one is one of my favorites. It's a vegetable pea soup, and it's the instructions or directions are on the website, and you can get a copy of it. And what I'd like to do is show you all the ingredients that I like to use in the recipe. My grandmother used these ingredients because during the war, these were the most accessible type of vegetables. She would go to the market daily and pick them up, and the best is to get fresh vegetables and to cook this particular soup. So I'd like to demonstrate to you how it's done. So I'd like to go over here, and I've got on this tray prepared all the things that I need for my recipe. There's a half a kilogram of peas, frozen peas. You can use fresh peas from the garden if you have it, or you can buy it at the market. And today I've used frozen peas, and then 2 parsnips. So I've kind of diced those up in there, because this makes the soup kind of sweet tasting. I can't do without parsnips in my soup. I've gotten used to them over the years. My mom has used them, my grandmother has used them, and many Hungarian homes use parsnips in their soups. So this is one of the all-time favorites. And then of course we have chopped carrots, 2 carrots, and then 1 medium onion. I've chopped that up, and I've just kind of chopped it up into all different kind of pieces. It's kind of nice to have different sizes in the soup. And then of course we have chopped onion and celery and parsley, just a small amount of parsley that gives it a really nice flavor. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a tablespoon of oil, and I'm going to add it to the bottom of here. You can add maybe an extra one to it. So if the recipe calls for a tablespoon, you can always add more or little depending on your diet. And so you want to make sure that this is all sort of covered on the bottom of your cooking pot. So I kind of stir it around a bit, and then I'm going to put this on to about 4 level. And I'm going to get the pan ready for it to be sauteed. So what you do is you fry saute the peas and the carrots and the parsnips and all these ingredients into the pot. And this kind of gives it it enhances the flavor. My mother always used to do that. She used to take her olive oil, and then she would saute all her vegetables before doing a soup or a stew. So this is kind of very traditional type of thing to do when you're cooking soup. So I'm just going to wait for this to kind of warm up a bit, and I am going to put the heat down, and then I'm going to start adding my peas into the bottom of this pan, and I'm going to start stirring it around. Now there's enough liquid in the frozen peas that you don't have to worry about it burning. You keep stirring that, and then you add your other ingredients, your chopped parsley and carrots, chopped onion, and then you just stir it around, make sure that all the ingredients are stirred together well. Might want to sort of adjust the heat again. I've got it on a larger burner. And then just keep doing that, keep stirring it, and then you have your celery. Add your celery into the pot, and then parsnips. So this all goes into the pot. Make sure it's stirred around well. And then we want to bring the heat up a little bit more, just to get it going a bit, to fry it. Now this, you could add potatoes to this if you wanted to. I also add a bit of garlic, a clove of garlic. You might want to add more if you like a lot of garlic. My mother usually uses about two or three cloves of it, but you can hear it kind of sizzling a bit. When you hear it sizzling, you know, it's kind of bring the heat down a bit more. And this is a wonderful, wonderful meal in itself. You can add pasta to this. You can actually add chicken to this if you want. This is a great meal for winter. It's a winter kind of a meal too. And then I continue to stir it, and then I add some sea salt. And I use the all natural sea salts, like the natural ones. This red real salt. I put that in there. And the recipe calls for, I have about 2 tablespoons, but you can modify this if you want to. You can use more or less depending on your diet. If you have a low sodium diet, you can use less. So you don't necessarily have to use what's in the actual recipe. And then I just kind of stir this around. 2 tablespoons of salt. And then once I've got that sauteed, bring up the heat again. So keep kind of bringing the heat up and down. Fry it a bit. And then I have some chicken bouillon kind of cubes that I bought, and these are kind of like it has sea salt, a little bit of sea salt in it, but I'm just going to use a small amount. I'm going to just use 1 cube of the chicken bouillon. Chicken sort of, I'm just going to add that in there. I'm just going to crumble it up a bit so it melts. You can add more or less depending on your taste. So I'm just going to saute this down. It's really sizzling now. Get this going a bit. And this serves about 3 to 4 people. You can double the recipe if you're expecting a larger group of people. You can use a stock pot, a large stock pot. Also, you can use chicken stock to add to this. Whatever you have at home to make it flavorful. It could be a beef stock or a beef bouillon cube. So any kind of flavor. So And then last is the water. 6 cups of water added to the soup. Now if you really want to make it look colorful, you could add Hungarian paprika. Sometimes I add Hungarian paprika to it. And it's very, very colorful soup. I like to cut the vegetables nice and large. And this will, according to my recipe, will be for an hour at medium heat. So you want to do it at medium heat. You want to bring it to a boil and then put the lid on it halfway, the pot lid on it halfway, and then cook it slowly. And you can test it to see how the vegetables are cooked, and decide when it's ready, because some people like it their vegetables very firm. I like them soft. And then it can be served with a main dish too. But this is a meal in itself. And if you have a large family, you can triple this recipe. It's very simple, and it also can be frozen. It could be put into Ziploc containers, small sort of freezer containers, and be frozen. And you can take this actually to work and warm it up. So you can add color to it. You can put paprika in it. So my recipe doesn't mention that, but in my video I just kind of add a little bit of tips and that, or extra things in there that you might want to add to it. So this is one of my recipes passed down from my grandmother, Gisela. As in my intro I mentioned that many of my recipes come from my grandmother and were passed down to my mother. So my mother actually cooked a lot of these soups. We would go to the market. When I visited my grandmother in Hungary, we would wake up at about 5 o'clock in the morning and go to the market and do shopping there for fresh vegetables very early in the morning. And then we'd go back, and then my grandmother would start cooking early on in the morning, because the apartments get very, very hot in the summer. So she'd do early morning cooking. So everything was cooked for the afternoon, and then we'd sit out on her veranda and we'd have soup, and she'd make fresh bread, and all the recipes that you'll see on my website were prepared by her. Very time consuming. You save time making these recipes. This recipe didn't take me more than probably about 15-20 minutes. Overall preparation time maybe 30 minutes at the most. So I hope you've enjoyed my demonstration in showing you how to cook this favorite recipe of mine, one of my favorite recipes. So until next time, bon appetit, jó étvágyat, good appetite. Hope to see you again in my kitchen. So my website is irinkaskitchen.com, and my email address is irene@irinkaskitchen.com. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I'm looking forward to your emails and your comments.